What is going on, y'all? GamersGoon here today with your second official bracket prediction. We have the 1.0 out, and some of my takes have changed slightly, so we're going to do another one tomorrow morning before March Madness gets started. I don't know if it'll show up here still. It doesn't have the time countdown anymore, but we're approximately about 24 hours away from the start of it. There will be another final bracket, but those are the three brackets that you're really looking to see if they hit, because more likely than not, the mascot brackets, the AI bracket, the wheel bracket, those aren't brackets are going to hit. And I don't know if I'll have another video in between those two that are talking about a different method to get it. But we are going to start. We're going to try to do this one logically. First, we have Auburn versus Alabama State. Congratulations, Alabama State. The Hail Mary play worked for them. Give me a second. I had to spit my gum out. But Auburn versus Alabama State. Alabama State, a little bit of March Madness magic for them already to win their game last night against St. Francis, PA. Unfortunately for them, they're running into Auburn, who are on the downwards trend at the moment, but a team like Alabama State is not the team that would make that an upset. Louisville versus Creighton. I am kind of scared here because I'm going Louisville. Everybody seems to be going Louisville. The markets are saying Louisville. Creighton, really, if they're going to win, Koch and Ashworth are going to have to do it all. You got to get Ryan Kalkbrenner to make big-time plays, play like the player we know he is. Whereas Louisville, if maybe you stop a Chucky Hepburn, there are some guys there that can get the job done. Very good team. Will let it fly from three. Very dangerous. Creighton, though, when you talk to me about Creighton, once you get to Jemiah Neal, after that, I don't really know where your offensive firepower can come from if they maybe do slow Koch down a little bit. And then you're relying on Ashworth and Jemiah Neal to get it going. And Ashworth is a three-point shooter, so it might not be his day. Those are, what you see with some of these teams that get hot from three in the tournament, they have a lot of guys on their team that can get hot from three, and then you get one or two of those guys to get hot, and it's lights out. Creighton, I don't know if Ashworth's not hot, then you're just relying on Jemiah Neal, and I don't know if that's enough. Whereas Louisville, I think a lot of their players can get hot from behind the arc. I just don't think that's a great matchup for Creighton, and Louisville is a team that I'm not going to talk about them against Auburn yet, but picking between Louisville and Auburn's been hard for me. And here's where I'm probably going to disagree with a lot of you. I know UC San Diego is the popular pick. You look at UC San Diego, not a very tall team, a team that can play high scoring, forces a lot of turnovers. You look over here, close against the San Diego State team that lost last night, by the way, so that one kind of shocked us. We didn't expect UNC to win. UC Irvine, which we thought was a pretty good team, a team in the tournament in Utah State. Michigan isn't necessary. I mean, they have good wins, Michigan. You look at them, they beat Purdue, they beat a tough Maryland team, they beat Wisconsin, a 3 seed. But you're looking at a Michigan team here that hasn't been super great down the stretch of the season. Yes, in the Big Ten tournament they were, but yeah, you look here, the last month of the season, Michigan State, Maryland, they lost bad to Illinois in there. Michigan, I haven't been super impressed with. If they didn't go on a Big Ten championship run, I might have had UC San Diego win this. But then when I think about it, the more I contemplate this game, yes, UC San Diego can force some turnovers. Michigan already does that at quite an alarming rate already, and they've been winning games. And then you look at what other advantages could UC San Diego get over them? Because forcing turnovers hasn't really costed Michigan really that much. They've either played close or won games where they've had a lot of turnovers. I don't know if UC San Diego has any other advantages over Michigan, and Michigan, though, does have two 7-footers, one of which plays basically the point guard in Danny Wolf. Vlad Golden can dribble it a little. He'll take you from maybe the perimeter inside. It's a tough team there at Michigan when they're playing their best. UC San Diego, I don't think, got a great draw. If UC San Diego was playing Oregon, my Oregon, I'd probably take UC San Diego. But because Michigan just has two big 7-footers that are big focal points of their team, and then you look at the other things that UC San Diego could potentially maybe get one up on if they shoot well, if they force Michigan turnovers, those haven't really costed Michigan games yet to this point. This one's pretty simple for me. I haven't really I know Yale is somewhat of a popular pick. Only 7.5 point underdogs here. Poulakaitis is the guy that everybody will remember from last year. He isn't Danny Wolf, but he's the other guy that was there. But you're going to a physical A&M team. A&M should win this game. Ole Miss versus North Carolina. It is official. North Carolina is in. They are in. I am not in love with this Ole Miss team. I've made it very well known. North Carolina is the favorites right now. Pajula, Jamin Brakefield, those are the two guys you really got to watch out for Ole Miss. They have a big win against Alabama. They've had some losses in there. They beat a Tennessee up and down team. Hasn't been super consistent. And then you look at North Carolina. Hasn't really had any. They had one quad one victory really, and then they beat San Diego State. Looked really, really good yesterday. Ole Miss, you're hitting a buzzsaw right now in North Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to be very similar to last year's NC State. Shouldn't have been in the tournament, but they are going to make the most out of being in the tournament. And this might be where we get a little bit of fireworks here, because this is one of the 14 seeds that I think have a chance. 14.5, don't love that. But you are playing this game without Keyshawn Gilbert. Lipsey's been injured. A banged-up Cyclones team. Then you got a Lipscomb team that is going to score, and is probably going to score pretty well. You look at them. Beat a Duquesne team that was in the tournament last year. Didn't do too great against Arkansas. I assume Arkansas was fully healthy then. Kentucky, same thing. But Lipscomb is a team that if you're looking hard enough for a 14 to beat a 3, they're the team that fits the bill the most, because they are going up against a team in Iowa State that is banged up, but I can't bring myself to do it. And this one's been one that I've pretty much been 50-50ing the whole time. Marquette versus New Mexico. Marquette is the favorites, but you got Donovan Dent on one side, potentially the best player on the court, in a game where Cam Jones is on the court, which is crazy. Obviously, you all know Cam Jones, really, really good player for them at Marquette. You might not know too much about this New Mexico team, but hung in there with St. John's, beat a tough UCLA team, beat a tough VCU, beat a tough San Diego State, beat Utah State. Right there, not great, but they've shown the ability to hang in with some tough teams. I'm going to have New Mexico beat Marquette. Michigan State versus Bryant. We'll go into it a little bit. Michigan State, I think, is really, really good. Big-time favorites. You got Jaden Akins, Jace Richardson. You're going to have Cohen Carr getting an electric dunk here in this tournament. That's going to be in the One Shining Moment video. You got Jackson Kohler here. You got Trey Holloman, gritty player. Bryant, you're looking at Pinson. You're looking at Timberlake to be the guys. You look at Bryant. Not too impressed. They did hang in there a little bit with St. John's. 22 is not too bad for what St. John's is, but Grand Canyon, bad loss. Michigan State, yeah, significantly better than Grand Canyon. I don't think they'll stick in with them as long as they did with St. John's. Auburn versus Louisville. Like 51% of me wants to take Louisville. The other 49 is telling me to take the smart pick in Auburn. Louisville, I like. Auburn, been skidding a little bit here to end the season. Definitely a 1 seed that you have to be on the lookout for an early departure. Probably the most likely one not to make it to the second weekend, in my opinion, even as the number 1 overall seed. They're tough, because I look at Houston, Florida, Duke. I don't really see any of those realistically losing. Auburn's the one that I do. We're going to go Louisville. we're going to go Louisville. That might change by tomorrow's morning's video, because later tonight I'll be on a Discord call with my friends, and we'll be chopping it up about some of these games, and maybe they'll convince me as to why Louisville won't be able to win or whatever, because I was doing the same thing last night. But I don't know. For now, I think Louisville's my team there. Michigan versus A&M. I think I've had Michigan going there a few times. Would give us a rematch of Louisville and Michigan that we saw way back when in the national championship. But I just don't see Michigan being really that good. A&M, a little bit more physical of a team. Not a great A&M team, but I do think they got a good draw. I don't think Yale is one of the better 13s that you have to watch out for. This one right here is the one that would have scared me. Maybe even Grand Canyon. I'm not too high on Akron either, but the two on the bottom side of the bracket would be the ones that scared me here with A&M, but they didn't run into them. They ran into Yale, then they ran into a Michigan team that, yes, they're hot at the moment, but not a Michigan team that really anybody's been really that impressed with. They know how to win games. They have a really good coach at Michigan, but I just don't see it with them. Then you get to this North Carolina-Iowa State game, and I was really debating that Lipscomb over Iowa State win. Here's where it's going to happen. North Carolina is our team that made it out of the play-in and is making it to the Sweet 16, and they will be going up against, and this is tough here. This one's really tough. Donovan Dent, legacy game is what it will take to beat Michigan State. I think he's capable, but there's so much firepower at Michigan State compared to Donovan Dent. Don't want to disrespect Nelly Jr., but if you stop Donovan Dent, you probably beat New Mexico. Michigan State, I think, will figure it out. Setting up a blue blood matchup here, Michigan State, North Carolina, and Louisville and A&M. And Louisville, I don't know why. I don't really love this A&M team. Louisville, though, they got their toughest win with Auburn. I'm going to have Louisville advance. I like this Louisville team. A lot of veterans on the team. Terrence Edwards transferred in from James Madison. Then you got Chucky Hepburn, obviously transferred in from Wisconsin. A lot of guys with some experience playing in big games. Not necessarily the biggest of games. You don't look at Chucky Hepburn and like, hey, he's playing a national championship. No, you don't have any of that. But you do have guys that have been there, done that. And a guy for Terrence Edwards that was at a James Madison team that people were impressed with. North Carolina versus Michigan State. This is where it's got to end. It's got to end here. I got to plug my laptop in, by the way. It's not almost dead, but I just needed to plug it in because my phone charger was in, and I don't even have my phone plugged in. Louisville over Michigan State. This is where the Cinderella story ends for Louisville. Michigan State, too good for Louisville. They already played with some fire getting past Auburn. A&M I wasn't too worried about. Michigan State, though, ends it all there. And this could very well be Creighton in the first round, but I'm much more scared of Creighton in the first round than A&M in the third round. Auburn's the big game you got to get over. And they might not even make it out of this game, but Louisville is kind of it's in my family bracket too. That I'm really high on this Louisville team for some reason. I think they're a team to watch out for, especially with an Auburn team that hasn't played particularly well to end the season. Duke, and this is where we'll do another video tomorrow. We don't know the winner of American versus the Mount St. Mary's. Duke should win that game pretty easy. Mississippi State, Baylor, I've gone back and forth with. I feel like everybody's picking Baylor, and I'm starting to understand why they are picking Baylor. Mississippi State, you look at them, haven't played particularly great against good teams. They did beat a tough A&M team that we don't think that highly of, even though we do have them going on a little bit of a run. They beat Pittsburgh. Then you look at Baylor. Same thing, but they do have a Kansas win, who I think a little bit higher of. They hung in there with Texas Tech, who I really, really like. They hung in there with Houston, which I really, really like to make runs. Baylor, I just think, yes, they have some young talent there with VJ Edgecombe. Norshad Omier is a guy that you're going to have to watch out for if you're Mississippi State. But realistically, it's going to be Baylor, even as the underseeded number 9. Oregon versus Liberty, this game scares me so much. It scares me so much. A lot of my friends don't think it's that scary. Well, let me tell you something about this Liberty team. They can shoot. Talon Peters, the guy. Katie Matheny, not far behind. You look at them. They beat a McNeese team that people think highly of. They beat Kansas State, who's not great, but it is a big-time conference program. They shoot 40% from 3. They shoot 40% from 3. I don't believe they really have much side, but this has all the makings right here of a team for a March Madness upset. Then you get an Oregon team that is coming in at a 5 where hasn't been particularly great shooting the 3 ball. You look at a lot of their lineup. Keyshawn Bartholomew's been shooting the ball well. Jackson Shelstad, obviously, Biddle a little bit. Bamba hasn't been a great shooter. Kwame Evans has been better, but not a great shooter there either. Jadrian Tracy hasn't really been shooting the ball particularly well. He's okay. He's serviceable from 3, but those aren't guys that scare me from the 3-point line. Whereas Liberty has guys that scare me from the 3-point line, shooting 40% off a high amount of attempts. So you're looking at Oregon and trying to figure out an advantage. You'd hope it's with Biddle, but we've seen at times where Oregon just sits back and lets it be the Jackson Shelstad game. And as good as Jackson Shelstad is, there is games where Jackson Shelstad, his shot isn't there. And that worries me. How did you handle that? I don't think Dana Altman will let it get to the point where it's got to be Jackson Shelstad half-court jumper heroics that we've seen this year. I don't think we should get to that point, because you should take every advantage you have and you should go in there and use the size to your advantage and get TJ Bamba going downhill, and you should get Kwame Evans crashing the boards, getting putbacks, and you should work it into Biddle, get some low post moves. But Oregon is one of those teams that can at times fall in love with that 3-pointer. So that does worry me. Oregon should still be the pick because Dana Altman, you have to trust. He is one of the best coaches when it comes to March. I know he hasn't won Oregon a national championship at basketball, but he has taken an Oregon team to the Final Four. He went on a little bit of a run last year to even make the tournament. Dana Altman is somebody, when tournament time comes around, he got them boys locked in. So you just got to trust the coach here. It does scare me because Liberty has all the makeup of one of those teams that we'll talk about on Saturday. And we'll be like, hey, so-and-so, you got a tough draw. And they say it's Arizona that comes out of the Akron game. Hey, you get a tough draw. That's a good shooting Liberty team. And that's the part that scares me. They're a team that can get hot. Oregon also somewhat of a team that can get hot, but Oregon does have the advantage with size. They do have the more physical players on the court, and at the end of the day, athletes have to be athletes in this game. So you would expect Nate Biddle to go in there and dominate around the rim against a smaller team. You'd expect TJ Bamba to be able to attack the rim and go get some easy layups at the rim against a team that lacks some real firepower defensively. I mean, they are a good defensive team, but I don't know if they can really match up with Oregon's size and power. So I am going to go with Oregon. I might have to talk myself into that, but we'll stick with them. In Arizona versus Akron, I've seen a lot of people talk about this Akron team. And for Akron's own right, shout out to John Gross. Once this calendar year they've lost, they're playing good basketball. But their schedule doesn't impress me really. They don't really impress me. They lost to St. Mary's earlier in the year. St. Mary's team that we might have make a little bit of run, spoiler alert. But Arizona, a big Baylor win. They beat Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech. Hung in there with Houston twice. They beat Texas Tech again. Arizona's not losing this game. I don't care about how Arizona at times have had some tournament mishaps and lost here and there and whatever. I don't care about any of that. I think at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, they should not struggle with that Akron team. BYU versus VCU. This one, I feel so bad for both these teams because VCU against any... If VCU was playing Ole Miss, I'd have them win. If VCU was... I don't know who the other sixes are. Illinois? I don't know if I'd have them beat Illinois. But VCU maybe against Missouri, I'd have them win. BYU, though, I just look at them. I just love this BYU team. You're going to look at Richie Saunders here, their leading scorer. Yegor Demon is the guy that is on the lottery boards. Probably not a lottery pick with how he has been playing this season. Kind of slid down a little bit, so maybe, but he's still a first-round pick. Big guard that we thought maybe could come to Illinois, so shout out to him. Then the guy that I think you're really, really sleeping on here is not on the board, Keba Keita. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but every time I watch BYU, it always seems like he's making an impressive block. He's making an impressive dunk. He's catching a lob. It's their big man for BYU, super athletic, will throw it down from time to time. That's a guy right there that kind of got a little bit of that. I mean, he's more built, but he's kind of got a little bit of that Cohen Carr energy where you could get a dunk or two out of him, and it would really spark in a close game. If you get Yegor Demon throwing a lob to Keba Keita, that's something that could really get the crowd into the game and boost up BYU and get them to have some momentum. VCU, Max Shulga, he's their guy. He's the guy that you're really, really going to have to look out for. I heard a lot about him this season. And then you got Joe Bamisel. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. The one I know about, though, is Max Shulga. But here's the thing with VCU. Solid team here. Not a super impressive schedule. Do have a Miami win. Not a great Miami team. Defense first, yep, that's pretty much what you'd expect. So maybe they do know how to lock down a Richie Saunders. They can force Yegor Demon to make some turnovers. But Keba Keita is the guy right now pushing them over the edge for me here in that round one. I just think he is a matchup nightmare for VCU. And I think he's a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. Wisconsin versus Montana. See, this is one where the answer is Wisconsin, right? But when I was chopping it up with my friend last night, it's being played in Denver. It's being played in the mountains, right? High altitude. Wisconsin just played 4 games at the Big Ten tournament. Now they got to travel to Denver. Lose to the time zone a little bit. Montana, I don't really know if their altitude's super high. But Wisconsin having to do that scares me because we went into the Big Ten tournament not super impressed with Wisconsin. But then Wisconsin won some games, right? They did what they needed to do. I wasn't super high on them. John Tonji's their guy. He'll be a March Madness legend. Expect him to go get 20 points in this game. And then you got Money Williams here for the Grizzlies. The correct answer is Wisconsin. I'm not gonna overthink it. But that's been one of the 14 seeds that's been eyeballing me and being like, hey, pick me. And I've considered it. Lipscomb's the other one. I don't know really if let's see here. Troy really haven't bought too much in. UNC Wilmington's another one that people have. I just don't see it. Duke versus Baylor, it should be Duke. Duke is on a roll even without Cooper Flagg. They're on a roll, and if they do get to that second weekend, that's even more time for Cooper Flagg to get healthy. I don't think you play Cooper Flagg in this first game, and just because I know he is questionable to play. I think you could sit him out there and then play him against Baylor, and then make your way and have another week off between it. Oregon versus Arizona. The last time we saw this matchup, Oregon won in surprising fashion, making their way all the way to the Big Ten championship, or not the Big Ten, the Pac-12 championship, and winning it all. Now, last time Jackson Shelstad really, really good. Caleb Love was not really, really good. Biddle, you'd expect to have the advantage there. No more Omar Ballo there. Arizona, Jaden Bradley there, KJ Lewis there, all guys that Oregon has seen before. Last time, with a better Arizona team, Oregon had the advantage. Now you have no Jermaine Couisnard, you have no N'Faly Dante, but you do have a couple of those same pieces versus a couple of Arizona's same pieces. I am going to ride with Oregon here against Arizona. Even though Oregon might not get out of that first round, I do like the odds there against Arizona. BYU versus Wisconsin. We've been talking about BYU. I'm gonna back up where my mouth is there. Wisconsin, I think, obviously they have a lot of guys here. Blackwell, they got Chanji. They had another guy that I'm forgetting his name. That's been pretty good for him. Let's pull out my phone so I can give the guy his credit where credit is due. NCAA men's basketball. We're gonna go to, when do they first play? Do they play tomorrow? I don't think they play tomorrow. No, they do play tomorrow, do they? Where do they play? Here we go. The guy that I'm thinking of is Crowell, Stephen Crowell. This guy has about 10 points a game, and he shoots about 40% from three. So he's somebody that maybe you're going to have to watch out for if you're BYU. But I do like the size here for BYU. Kiba Keita, I really, really like. Talked about him a bunch in this video already. Yeah, Yor Demon, obviously, first-round pick. Richie Saunders, going to light it up from three. Tough player, too. Surprisingly tough player there, Richie Saunders. But, yeah, I like BYU. We didn't even pick down here. Wow. St. Mary's versus Vanderbilt. There's not much here to say. Vanderbilt, congratulations for being here. I liked picking Vanderbilt because they have Hunter Salas. They've been impressive this season, but St. Mary's, offensively, they're not going to impress you, but 36 points at USC. Bad game here against Nebraska. But they're a team that's going to play slower paced games. You're not going to score 70, 80 points most of the time against them. I mean, there are some teams in here that have Nebraska, but you look at Gonzaga, who it's obviously should be considered better than Vanderbilt. Held them under 60. Held them under 60 again here, even though they lost. Vanderbilt, I don't think, will thrive in that style of game where the pace is real slow. St. Mary's wins. And then Alabama versus Robert Morris. Alabama a little banged up. Grant Nelson, we're not sure if he'll be playing. Don't necessarily think you need him. People, though, are saying that if there is a 15 to win, it might be Robert Morris because of the Grant Nelson injury. I don't buy it. There's just too much firepower here. You got Mark Sears, you got Youngblood on the team. Alabama, good coach and Oates. It's not happening. It is not happening. And then St. Mary's versus Alabama. You got a battle of offense and defense. Now, I don't know if either of these teams have played. Well, Alabama has played a team like them in Houston. You look at St. Mary's, though. What's the closest thing they've played to it? Maybe a Gonzaga. I still like Alabama here. I really do. I really do. Then I have to have Alabama beating BYU. I think at this point Grant Nelson's healthy. BYU's already playing with house money. You're looking at a BYU team that got hot, that was able to have a big man that was more physical than the other big men on the court. I don't know if you get that there against Alabama. Duke versus Oregon. This is where the Oregon run has to end. I'd be surprised, really, if this is not the matchup here coming out of the East region. Duke and Alabama are easily two of the favorites to come out of this. Like, there's Duke and Alabama, and then there's everybody else, like, far and away. Everybody else. Like, I would guess the chances of Duke and Alabama both coming out of the East in the Elite Eight game is probably above 80%. Like, this is your final, like, match in the East region. Duke versus Alabama, though. This one could be fun. Duke, obviously, would hope that Cooper Flagg is healthy. Duke should be the smart pick to win here, right? They just should be. But Alabama, a team that can get hot. Alabama, a team that can get hot, beat an Auburn. A team that can get hot, beat an A&M, beat a UNC. You can beat the Houston Cougars. Grant Nelson has to be healthy, but then again, Cooper Flagg has to be healthy. I'm going to ride with Alabama. I feel like I've picked Duke too many times. Duke is the favorites there, but I think I've picked them too many times. We got to go with Alabama. Okay, we got Florida coming out of Norfolk State. Don't really need to look too much into it. Florida playing really, really good basketball with Walter Clayton right now, Elijah Martin. They got a big man there that's been playing really, really well. Condon's there. Yeah. Norfolk. Thanks for coming. Brian Moore's the guy you got to look out for. Don't really see how there's a path there to beat Florida. UConn versus Oklahoma. I want Jeremiah Fears to win. I am willing it into existence, but the game is UConn. You can't vote against Dan Hurley in the first round. And you look at UConn, unfortunate way to have their season go. Liam McNeely there, healthy for them finally. Solo ball, playing some good basketball. You got Alex Caravan there. You got Reed there. You have Mahaney from, I believe, St. Mary's. They have a lot of depth to that team. Shouldn't be an 8 seed if they were healthy all year, but kind of a down year for UConn. Memphis versus Colorado State. This is my favorite match of the entire year because I don't like this Memphis team. Shout out to Dane Danger, though. Shout out to Dane Danger. We do love Dane Danger. Neek Clifford is the guy you got to watch out for Colorado State. Really, really good player. Will get a double-double in this tournament. PJ Haggerty, big-time scorer for Memphis. Dane Danger, the big man, going to go to work here. Very good low post guy. Got to see him a lot at Illinois. The thing that scared me here, though, with Memphis, and it's not going to show up here necessarily. All their stuff came in the beginning of the season when they looked good. They have a UConn win at the beginning. They have a Michigan State. They are a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team. But playing in their conference, they didn't look very good. They were playing close against teams that were quite less, like, they were clearly superior to their team. And at times they played down to competition. So that makes me think, hey, you're going to let Colorado State play in a close game. And Colorado State's a team you don't want to let play close. They're going to win games. Boise State, a team we thought should be in the tournament. Utah State, a team that is in the tournament. You let them hang around, they're going to win. Colorado State, I like them. I like Colorado State this year. Maryland versus Grand Canyon. I can't talk myself into it. The Crab 5, it's over. It's over. You're going to lose the Grand Canyon. I'm kidding. I am kidding. It's really easy. Derek Queen, Jacoby Gillespie. You got Julian Reese on your bench. Rodney Rice, Selton Miguel. It's a loaded team offensively. Everybody can get their own. Can all get 20 in a given night. GCU, a team that is a team that could beat an upset, make an upset, but like they played close to this Georgia team that's in the tournament. But unfortunately, I don't know if Maryland's a team you want to run into if you're GCU. Shout out, though, to Ty and Grant Foster. Missouri versus Drake. This is one that I've flip-flopped, went back and forth, decided who, what, whatever. Missouri is the correct pick, right? 6.5 points. Mark Mitchell was there. A lot of experience here on this team. Tamar Bates. You got Perkins on this team. Then you look at Drake. Beat Miami. Beat FAU. Beat Vandy in the tournament comfortably. Vandy. Struggled here a little bit against some lesser competition. New coach, looking for possibly maybe getting an upgrade because obviously you want to advance from Drake. But a lot of his talent with him from his last coaching stop. Ben Sturtz is the guy that can get hot. I'm going Drake to win one. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. A popular pick here for UNC Wilmington. People are thinking maybe Texas Tech being banged up a little might affect them. I'm not too scared, though. I'm not too scared. JT Toppin, best player clearly on the court at all times here in this game. They got some guys you got to worry about from UNC. Wilmington played. Was this the game where they hung in with Kansas for a while and then they fell off? Might be. I don't see him beating Texas Tech, though. Kansas versus Arkansas. Kansas, the preseason #1 team in the country. Really, really good team. Hunter Dickinson, Zeke Mayo. Obviously, a lot of talent there that you don't really talk about. The AJ Stores, Badunga. There's a lot of guys there that don't really get much love because Kansas hasn't been particularly good. But Kansas is a team that should be good, and I feel like those type of teams make a little bit of noise in March. Even as an underseeded 7 that hasn't really played well, they have all the talent to easily beat an Arkansas team that A, hasn't been great, and B, I think Adu Thero's out. Boogie Flan's coming back from injury. Just not an Arkansas team really that I'm too concerned about. Then we get the trash can wrestlers, the trash can beater-uppers. We get Omaha. People like this Omaha team. I don't know if it's going to happen. RJ Luis, Zuby Ejiofor. You got Kadari Richmond on the other side. All guys that I trust before we even get to Markel Sutton. St. John's is a pick. Pitino, got to win round 1. Too good defensively to allow Omaha to win. Florida versus UConn. Popular UConn, maybe. People I could see definitely going UConn simply because you respect Dan Hurley. It's not going to happen. Florida is the team. UConn, not good. I gave the first one out of respect to Dan Hurley. He ain't getting 2. Colorado State versus Maryland. We had North Carolina. Okay. Part of me wants to make the Colorado State run happen. It ain't happening. Maryland, we are going to have beating Florida. Drake versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins this game. Sturts can only be hot for so long. Drake, a good team, Drake. Not better than Texas Tech, who I think could make a Final Four run if the cards lay out. Kansas versus St. John's. This is the first time I'm really going to consider this. I love this St. John's team. I really do. Kansas, though, I think I'm hyping them up in my own head. Kansas beat Duke early in the season. Haven't been super consistent. I'm going to say they get locked in, and they win against St. John's. So we get Florida versus Maryland. Who do we got here? I got to go Florida. I do like Maryland there. I do like them there. But I went Florida because of the experience. I think at some point, relying on Derek Queen and relying on guys that really haven't made big tournament runs is going to hurt them. And granted, nobody on Florida has really made a big tournament run, but Walter Clayton's been there, done there, been in the tournament before, so he's somebody that I do trust. Whereas maybe you're relying on a freshman Derek Queen to lead the way. I don't know if you're going to get the same thing. Texas Tech versus Kansas. Tough game here to pick. If you get the best Kansas, maybe Kansas wins this one, right? We have a sample size. Texas Tech has won before. We're going to keep that sample. Texas Tech versus Florida. This one is going to be a really, really good matchup. I think Texas Tech defensively has what it takes to match up against Florida. This is going to be a great game going down to the wire. At the end of the day, I got to go with the best player on the court, and that's Walter Clayton. So Walter Clayton will be meeting up with Jace Richardson and company at Michigan State. And then you get to the Midwest, Houston versus SIUE. Shout out to SIUE for being here. Thank you for coming, though. It's not going to happen. Rayshawn Taylor, Brian Taylor. Nobody here really stands a chance against Houston as a 16 seed. Houston, just uniquely good. Really good defensive school. You got LJ Cryer, who can put up some points. Emmanuel Sharp. You got Robert, what's his name? He's the big man for him. Which I believe he's actually hurt right now, by the way. Yeah, Juwan Roberts. He is ready to go, though, he says. So, you got some guys there. Milos Uzan. Houston, they just had too much firepower to lose to a first time in the tournament, SIUE. Shout out to their coach, though. Brought out the scissors that he had framed for, like, I don't know how long, but his whole coaching career, basically, at SIUE, he had scissors framed and ready to be taken out when they were able to cut down the nets and win their conference championship. He was able to do that, so shout out to him. Gonzaga, here is another one that is really, really exciting. Gonzaga, Khalif Battle, Graham Ike. Team very, very solid, very good analytic team here. Ryan Nembhard, one of the better point guards in the country. Georgia, it's pretty much the Ace and Newell show. Can't rely on a freshman to beat Gonzaga. It's not happening. Clemson versus McNeese. This is another popular upset destination here. McNeese, the student manager, don't want to get his name wrong, so I'm gonna go on Instagram because I do follow him. I believe I know his name, but I don't want to get it wrong here and say it incorrectly. Amir Khan, shout out to him. Got a couple NIL deals. Yeah, it's not happening though. It's not happening with this McNeese team. McNeese team that I do like. They beat a North Texas team that I thought could be in the tournament. They hung in there with Alabama. They hung in there with that Liberty team that we're a little bit concerned about, Mississippi State, another tournament team. They're going to be in this game. They are going to be in this game. But here's the thing that I love about Clemson. Ian Schifflin, been there, done that. Chase Hunter, been there, done that. Team that has some good wins, a Kentucky 3 seed, a healthy Kentucky at this point, by the way. Penn State, a team that's not horrible. They've beat Duke, they've beat UNC. Lost to a Louisville team I liked, but they played close. Clemson's had a lot of close games and played a lot better talent. I gotta go with Clemson. I really love this Clemson team this year. Purdue versus High Point. We're gonna look at this High Point team here. North Texas, I like that that North Texas team. We've talked about it. UAB, they almost made the tournament, by the way, against Memphis, I believe. Purdue, big wins against Bama, Maryland. Not great there. Lost to a Michigan team we don't think is super great. Wisconsin, same thing. Michigan State, same thing. Lost to Illinois, who I'm really concerned about in the first round. Purdue, not looking great recently. They're going to force this game to be the Braden Smith show. It's dangerous here. High Point, a team that definitely could get hot offensively. I think they're going to sit back and they are just going to say, you know what, we're going to try to stop Trey Kaufman-Renn, and if Braden Smith beats us, we'll allow that. And Braden Smith hasn't been shooting the ball particularly well recently. He's missed a lot of shots there to end that Illinois game. He didn't look great in the Big Ten tournament. Braden Smith, though, when you look at it, has been one of the best players in the country. Do you really want to test Braden Smith? I don't know. This game's been tough for me to pick all along. I still like Purdue here, but I'm really leaning it's like 51% Purdue here. High Point is a really good team that if they were maybe playing where's the 4 here? Like if they were playing Arizona, where they were playing A&M, I might have went with them. But Purdue, I'm just going to show respect to Matt Painter and company. Trey Kaufman, been there, done that. Braden Smith, been there, done that. Both part of that national championship attending team. They didn't win, but they did make it. Clemson versus Purdue, I've already talked about. Oh, wait. We do have to finish the bottom. Illinois versus Texas Xavier. This is another one that we'll be talking about a little bit more in depth tomorrow once we know who it will be. I expect Xavier to win, but I want Texas to win because I think Texas is the more beatable team for Illinois, simply because I think if you put pressure on Texas, they are going to be susceptible to some mistakes. You're going to look at a freshman in Trey Johnson who is really talented, but I think you are able to make him make some mistakes. Illinois has some of those guys on their team, though. They have KJ. They have Ivasic, who this is his first run in March Madness and his first run in college. You have you have Merez Johnson, who is still ramping back up from his injury breaking his hand. Illinois until we know which team is here, it's got to be the pick. Kentucky versus Troy. Troy really, really good defensively, can rebound the ball pretty well. They do scare me a little bit for Kentucky, a Kentucky team that's banged up, but here's why I'm going to pick Kentucky. Can't beat Arkansas, can't even really play close. Lost by, 16? Oregon lost by 21. Lost by 20 to Houston. Anytime they've really had a chance to show, hey, we're worth being taken serious, they haven't played a competitive game. Kentucky should win that one. Even injured, Kentucky should win that one. UCLA versus Utah State. This is another one. I feel like a lot of people are taking Utah State. I've been there, done that in some of my brackets. I like Bilodeau. I really do. They got Daly here for UCLA. They have Sky Clark, who has played at Illinois. They had another guard there. What was his name? They have another guard at UCLA that... No, they don't have Tiger Campbell anymore, for those of you saying Tiger Campbell. They have... What's the dude's name? It is... They have Sebastian Mack. They got Dylan Andrews. Yeah, this is a solid UCLA team. Versus Utah State, they don't have Great Osborne anymore from last year. Not feeling it. Did beat a good St. Mary's team. Did beat a solid San Diego State team. Didn't look great against that New Mexico team that we like. Didn't look great there against Colorado, but they beat some good teams. But UCLA still got to be the pick here. They got to be the pick. Tennessee versus Wofford. Wofford, not a particularly great season. 19-15. Nothing to call home about. Tennessee, on the other hand, some impressive wins to start the season. Baylor, Illinois, skidded a little bit, beat a Florida team at one point, beat an Alabama team, an Auburn team, all Final Four contenders right there. Tennessee, at their best, is a Final Four contender. They should not have any problem whatsoever against Wofford, and that's the same reason I'm taking them against UCLA. They should have no problem beating UCLA if they are truly a team that can compete with those teams that are a Final Four contender, because Tennessee fits the mold of a Final Four contender. But Tennessee's ups and downs are very similar to other teams in this tournament that we're going to talk about, like Illinois and Kentucky. Illinois, I think, has the advantage in this game because Kentucky is coming in banged up. You don't have that week off. You only have 2 days off in between this game. Illinois, as long as they don't get hurt, should be the favorites to beat Kentucky. Illinois' best is really, really good. They beat some of the best teams in the Big Ten in the country. But, I mean, they hung in there the first time. They should have probably won that game against Tennessee the first time. Kentucky's banged up. You'd expect Illinois to win that one. But Illinois scares me more here against Xavier than they would here against Kentucky. Because Kentucky, I do think we have advantages because they are a little banged up. Xavier scares me. They scare me. Clemson versus Purdue. I've had Clemson come out of this a lot, which makes me think it's probably going to be Purdue. You got Clemson, been there, done that. Like I said, they got tournament experience. They've made the Elite Eight last year. Really good coach there at Clemson. Really good coach there at Purdue. This last year could have been a Final Four, maybe even a national championship match. That's how good those two teams were last year. We're getting it here in the second round. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be a real close game. At the end of the day, it's who do you trust more? I got to give it to Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman. Houston versus Gonzaga. Gonzaga, really good analytical team, right? Really good Graham Ike, Khalif battle. But you look at this Houston team. They're dangerous. Houston, I think it's going to take a special game to beat Houston, and I don't know if Gonzaga's got that in their tank. Illinois versus Tennessee, though. Illinois, this is the revenge spot for them. Can they make up that loss from in November, where you had Chaz Lanier hit a game winner, lay up at the rim to win? I don't know. I tend to think Tennessee would probably win this one. Experience is going to be experience. Chaz Lanier and Sakai Ziegler, a lot more experience than some of the guys Illinois relies on. Houston versus Purdue. Houston should win this one. Purdue, lucky to even make it here. We thought maybe they didn't win that high point game. We're thinking, hey, this is going to be a 50-50. Houston should be the easy pick here for us. Houston versus Tennessee, though. I am going to take Tennessee. I like this Tennessee team. You look at Tennessee, some impressive wins. Their peak is really good. They beat the crap out of that Florida team. It's just we don't know with Tennessee what version of Tennessee we're going to get every game. Then you get Alabama versus Tennessee versus Michigan State, Florida. Florida easily beats Michigan State, in my opinion. I really like that Florida team. Alabama versus Tennessee. We will go. This is 3 out of 4 of them are SEC, by the way. We will give it to. I don't know. Tennessee. They only played Tennessee once. Tennessee won last time by 3. I'm going to give it to Alabama this time. Grant Nelson will be healthy. We'll give it to Alabama. And then here we go, Florida-Bama. They actually share a state border, I believe. Walter Clayton versus Mark Sears. I got to go with Walter Clayton. So there we go. There is my 2.0. It might change a little bit here and there tomorrow, because I'm gonna flip-flop on all this stuff, but this is my 2.0. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Let's submit the bracket and get on out of here. And there you have it.